Yeah.
So, I'm not usually in this position, I'm standing at the podium like this, but, as this is our town hall meeting for the people, by the people, it's not gonna be completely polished, we're just figuring out as we go along. I'm really happy to see how many people are here right now, it makes me really happy. So I'm going to briefly go over the guidelines, we have some guidelines, just to keep this. The hope for this is that we can discuss things, and hopefully for most of the issues that come up, it would be really nice if we can have two differing opinions and hear them so that we can hear all the information, because if you're just only, you know, that whole preaching to the choir thing, then you're only getting that set of information and you're not getting the other side. I know for me, whenever something comes up, before I wrap my head around it, I like to find somebody that I know disagrees with me so that I can make sure I know what I'm talking about. So with that in mind, we're going to keep neighborly discourse. So understand that if you don't agree with something that's being said, that's actually good and helpful. So we'll just wait till the other person's done talking and then let us know that you have an opposite view of that, and then we'll want to hear that, okay? So due to our time frames, we're going to try to keep this about 45 minutes. And then afterwards, we can have some time for people to mingle, and if you hear something that you want to hear more about, you can go talk to that person. So we're going to try to keep it concise. We're going to address each other in an orderly manner. I have notes. Okay. And one person is going to speak at a time, so we're not going to interrupt each other, and we're going to, of course, refrain from using disrespectful remarks, okay? I think we already covered that with the neighborly discourse. So that's my opening. I hope I did okay. And now we're going to open with a prayer. Carrie's gonna open a prayer. You can come up if you want. Yes, thank you.
I'll just stand here. Let's pray. God, we are so blessed and grateful to live in a country where we can come together to talk about how we want to organize ourselves and how we want our towns and our cities and even our country to be organized. That we are grateful for that, and we pray that you would help us to not take that for granted and help us to hold that with care, to hold each other with in compassion, and to listen to each other, to be brave in our speaking, give us courage to speak truth that we know, and give us courage to hear the things that maybe we haven't heard before, and teach us, would you give us wisdom to know how to move forward and how to act as we leave here. Thank you so much for this place and these people. It's in your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so the idea is we're going to have some topics. I have some in mind, but of course, I'm sure some of you have topics that you feel are affecting Union County that I might not have any idea about. So what we're going to do is, also I want to explain, I am not an expert in all of these topics that I listed on the agenda. I just am really good at going up to people and opening conversation and hearing what they have to say, and I see the things that come up, and I'm also really good at finding people that do know a lot about those things. So we have a few faces in the room right now, people that do have a lot of information, way more than me. So, so the first topic we're going to discuss is that we have school board elections coming up. I am not sure, from my understanding, we have, is it 3, Cindy, you want to talk about this? We have 3 districts that are open, but there's only one that has 2 people up. Is that right? You want to come up and talk, or do you want to stand? You can stand right there, whatever you want to do.
Here.
I don't know what I'm doing. This is my first one.
Okay, so, we're having the school board there's 3 seats that are coming open on the school board. And I'm not totally, if I'm saying something and it's wrong, then just correct me, but this is from what I understand. So, in order to run for the school board, you have to live in the district that the chairs be coming open in. So, Tony Hunter is the chairperson in District 2. And I just found out a little earlier, I thought that I had heard he was stepping down. I don't know if he is or not. But what I did hear is that the chairperson and the vice chairperson, it's not an elected position, it's an appointed position. So the board appoints who the chairperson and the vice chairperson is gonna be. But Tony's seat is up. Now, he can run for that again if he wants, but from my understanding, somebody else in that district that lives in that district number 2 can also run. So, District 2, District 4, and District 5 are the 3 seats that are coming open. Tony Hunter, Keith Potts, and Patrick White. And right now, there's only 2 people that have made public that they're running. And they're in District 4, which District 4 is like Gumlog and Ivy Log, that area out there. Jason McCarter and Joseph Goebel are the 2 people that are running. Jason McCarter works at UCB Bank. Joseph Goebel works for ADC, Atlantic Digital Cable, over by the airport, the big cable building back there. So, so it would go like this. You would have to run, you would have to live in that district in order to run for the seat. And the qualifying is next week, I believe.
And we need some people to run,
We
right?
do. March 7th through the 11th. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, you would be able to qualify if you wanted to run for a position from 9 in the morning until 4:30. That's when you would go down and do that. It's $130 to put your name in the hat to run. And then on Friday is March 11th, and the qualifying time then is from 9 to 12 only. So we do need people to run. It would be nice to have some new fresh faces. It would be nice to have some younger people running. So if anybody knows, people that have kids in the school system that wanna get out and make a difference, it would be nice to have some other people running other than just the same people that
And
I don't know.
the 2 people that we do have running are both from the same district, so there's 2 other districts that don't have anyone, right?
Yes, so there might be people that know that they're running, but it has not been made public yet. And it will be made public after the qualifying period. Then we'll know who those people are.
Of the 2 men that are running, could you give us like just maybe 2 or 3 bullet points of what they're running on, or maybe even one, do you know?
Well, okay, so I've only heard Jason speak, and he spoke at the GOP meeting, the last GOP meeting that we had. And his thing is he's got, okay, so his wife is a school teacher in the primary school. His kids go to the school. And he was actually gonna run the last time there was an opening, but he did not. When the opening came up this time, he said everything kind of fell into place to where he felt like it was his time to make a difference. He talked about wanting some transparency and accountability with the funds in the school. He thinks he would be a good asset for that because he works at the bank. So he's about the numbers and the money and what's going where. Which, having said that, can I run into East Blast?
Yeah, okay, so now that goes absolutely together. So East Lost is coming up, and if you don't know what East Lost is, it's the education sales tax?
Educational, special, local option, sales tax, purpose tax, whatever all the names are, but anyway. So yes, so that is also coming up for a vote in May. May 24th, we'll be voting on East Lost. So I've been attending the school board meetings probably for the past 8 months, 9 months, and, at the last school board meeting, I got on the agenda and wanted to talk about, I don't know if anybody looks at the paper, but typically when they come out in the paper with, their budget, like for the year or whatever, it's very, it's kind of vague. So in other words, they just put out like, for this, like building and maintenance, this much money. So they don't break it down so that we can see actually how the money is being spent. It's just like a broad category, and it's over like a 5-year period. So like the first year, they'll put in there like building and maintenance, they'll say like $90,000. They spent $90,000. Then it'll say year 2, we spent $57,000. And so I presented to them what I also presented at the commissioner meeting. By law, there is a sample annual report that they should be filling out that gives a detail of what the money's actually being spent on. It goes project by project, and I understand it's a little detailed, but that's actually the law. It's OCGA 48-8-122. And that's the sample annual report that they say should be followed when spending the SPLOST money, whether it's T-SPLOST, E-SPLOST, SPLOST, whatever SPLOST it is. So I presented that last month at the school board because my point to them, and so by the way, the E-SPLOST tax is not an additional tax. We're already paying that tax. So this is, whereas T-SPLOST, that was gonna be an extra 1% tax, right? We voted that down, no. But E-SPLOST is, we're already paying that. So if E-SPLOST passes, we're not, it doesn't really raise anything, we just keep paying it.
I wanna say something about that, okay? The E-SPLOST today is not going to be done until June of 2023.
Yes.
So that's when it's gonna start the
Yes.
new one, and we
Yes.
don't really want another one.
So we're still in the SPLOST from, I believe it's 5 years ago. And we're in the last 2 years, because like she said, that SPLOST does not expire until June of 2023. So what we would be voting on in May would be the next 5 years after 2023. And so when I had presented that so I got on the agenda, I presented that is really the way that it should be done, because if I said to somebody here, okay, so they spent, you know, $90,000 on building and maintenance, what's kind of your first question after that? It would be, what did you spend, what would they spend $90,000 on? I can't answer that question, because the way they put it out is just like that. First year on this category, we spent this much, and I don't know what they spent it on. So when I did talk, I told them that, I said, I'm not saying that I'm up here even saying I'm against SPLOST. I would just like to see how the money is being spent. I mean, I would like to see what did we spend the $90,000 on in that, for that 1 year on that one thing. There's many things with many figures, but it's like, what was it spent on?
They didn't give it to you.
I have not gotten an answer back yet.
Well, you can ask for a FOIA request and get it from that, but it'll take a little time to get it.
Yeah.
They'll delay it, but you can ask for a FOIA request.
Yeah, and we've done some open records request stuff. I know there was somebody that did do an open records request a couple weeks ago, and if I'm not mistaken, and like I said, if I say something and it's wrong, somebody correct me if you know different, but I think they have 3 days to answer that open records request. When you request, it's been about 2 weeks and they have not gotten an answer yet. So, I mean, you know, I know they're busy, they've got stuff to do. I wanted to give them a chance, but there again, I'm thinking I might get on the agenda again for next month's meeting and just say, you know, cause I told them, I said, when we come to a group meeting or something and someone says to me, what's the money being, should we vote on East Blush or not? What's it being spent on? I can't answer that question. I can't say to them, oh yeah, vote for East Blush, or don't vote for East Blush, cause I don't know. I don't know how the money's being spent.
I would assume that they would have their own financial records that
They do.
actually has that.
I don't know if it's filled out like the report would say,
Right.
but I don't know. And I actually called the financial girl the other day and left a message and told her kind of what I wanted to talk about and stuff, and I didn't get a call out,
No.
so.
Did
Tried to
you
get it
submit, did you
before.
submit it in an affidavit form?
No, I had just called her and wanted to, you know, just say, can I come in, can you show me something, I mean, however they wanna do it, I mean, I don't, but I did not get a response back from her.
Joy, did you have information
Yeah,
after that?
I got a question, back to what Marcia said, that the East Blush does not run out until June of 2023.
The one we're in.
This is my question, and somebody probably has the answer. If we are having elections now, if it's voted down and then they want to request it again in 2023, the T-Splice cost the county, just under $30,000 to run that, for that one question.
Right.
So would the school board come and have just one question on a ballot, and then that would be $30,000 that would come, somebody probably knows whether it would come out of county money or school money. So, not to sway the vote one way or the other, that's something that people might want to take into consideration if you're looking to delay it till it expires.
Do you know,
Can
Mom?
I ask that question?
Yeah,
for you?
please, yes.
Okay. I go to the Board of Elections meeting every month, okay? Now, when we do this school splash, it's gonna do it when we do the primary.
Yes,
It's not gonna be an extra money.
right, it's not gonna cost
It's
anything.
not gonna cost any more money.
Right.
But the thing is, what I'm concerned about is, yes, I'd like to have that voted down in May.
Mhm.
But it's gonna come up again in November. And that's when I would like to have somebody, some committee, whatever, get together, something. I don't know how to do this, okay? I'm only explaining what I would like to have done. If you gotta change this thing, $42 million, forget it, you know? What is our, property taxes going for? The extravagant payment of all these, 9 vice presidents, or,
Principals?
Principals.
principals, there you go.
Superintendents?
They're all getting more money than our teachers. So I don't think so. They don't need any more e-readers. That should come out of our property tax money. All that stuff for books and things like that, that's in that list, that, oh, we're gonna cover everything. Well, what's our property taxes covering? So we need to get something, go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish.
Okay. Well, I would like to get a committee together, and get a list of what we're gonna do, what we need these teachers, Board of Education, not the teachers, okay? Cut this out, cut this out, cut this out. Do this, do that, and what's coming up with the rest of that stuff. So, because if it doesn't come up in May, if it doesn't pass in May, they're gonna do it in November.
So can I
And
just,
Sheriff said, I'm raising your taxes if you don't pass it.
well, that was said in, so there was an article in the paper last week about East Lost. And that was one of the things, is that if it doesn't pass, that's what they say, is that the property taxes will be raised. But I just have so can I ask you?
The millage rate.
The millage rate. So can I ask you, like, so why do you want East Lost voted down? Like, why? Yeah.
What, the East Blush, we pay tax money from our, property taxes. that should take care of 90% or whatever. If we have an e-splash, we don't need a penny. Why don't you give a quarter of a penny, you know, whatever. I mean, I don't wanna have, our taxes 7.5%, 8%, more than even Fulton County, and they got over 1 million people there.
Well, but the E-Splosh doesn't raise, I mean, we're already paying it. It's not like the T-Splosh where we were gonna go from, yes, it would just be a continuation. So on the T-Splosh, we were gonna go from 7 to 8, is that correct?
Right.
So that was gonna, I mean, 8% is a lot, I think, for
Oh,
our
sure.
county. I mean, that was kind of the reasoning behind not wanting T-Splosh. E-Splosh, and like I said, I don't, if there's people here that are against that, that's fine. I don't know if I'm for it or against it yet, because my thing is, I wanna see how the money's being spent. That's what I wanna see.
There was a
One
gentleman,
thing I would like to mention before we go, and I'll be quiet, okay?
no, your
It's
information's
that,
really
during the
helpful.
Obama era, we were giving so many millions of dollars towards our education. And it was put into the Social Security, office to distribute to all our counties, but I haven't seen it yet. And how long has it been since Obama's been in? Where's the money? Why should we be paying extra money for what we got?
See, that's important information and things that I don't know, so the
Oh.
history of, you've been paying attention a long time, and that's why I really value the information that's in this room right now. Hold on, just a moment, Wesley, you were gonna add something?
Yeah, I would like to talk about property taxes and then move on into E-Splash. Property taxes, as you all know, have went up. And this was something that I just learned, and I learned it from Richard Woods, which is a state school superintendent. Our county, because the inflated prices on real estate and property, has moved the county from the state level as the ratio that they use to disperse funds under QBE back to counties. We are no longer a poverty county. We are a very wealthy county. So therefore, the state is reducing the amount of money that we normally get for the school board. It no longer, it's coming here, it's going to places like Gwinnett County, Douglas County, Fayette County, the counties that have lower real estate prices. Now, I'd like to talk about E-Splash for just a minute. 2 weeks ago, I invited our state school superintendent, Richard Woods, John Hill, and some of his staff to a meeting. It was very productive. There was a lot of information that was made very clear. Some of the things that the county is having to do is mandated by Georgia law under their facilities operation. Now, I will say this to you. If y'all look at your email addresses out here and leave it where I can get in touch with you, I have a 4-page minutes from that meeting, and it's very helpful to you. And if you like, I will send that to you so you can really see some of the issues that we brought out, which you're talking about right now. They had legitimate answers to them. Now, I think it's the 14th, John Hill and his staff is gonna meet with a group, and this is the first town hall meeting. And he has openly admitted to do this over in suches. So if you guys have questions, just go to these meetings and be sure to make sure you ask legitimate questions. He does not crawfish. You may not like his answers, but he is very clear on what he tells you.
That's good, that's helpful, okay.
That's
I
all.
learn a lot by going to the meetings. for
Excuse
sure.
me?
I learn a lot by going to the meetings that I go to.
Oh.
So you're saying that it's a town hall
Thank you.
meeting in Suches?
Yes,
Okay,
and I will get that information out to you. guys.
okay, yeah, I'd love to have that. Okay, yes. You need to say.
Oh, me? Well, I don't know, are you all familiar with bonds for the win?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're working on that?
I have been, yes.
Okay, because, you know, all the school boards are required to do an oath of office and, signed, and you need to ask them and see if they really signed one. Because legally they have to sign one to follow the Constitution. And they're also supposed to have bonds, surety bonds, in case the school board gets sued for some reason, somebody gets hurt or whatever in the county. And they're finding all over the United States, a lot of these school boards don't even have an oath, they didn't take one, or they don't have surety bonds insured. So if they don't have that, then people can do a lawsuit and sue them.
Right.
So particularly in North Carolina, I mean, right now we live in Murphy, but we're gonna be moving back to Union County here shortly, so that's why we're attending this meeting tonight. And you own the building. Yeah, but that's all, neither there. But, a
What that
lot
means is
of
we pay taxes.
a lot of counties in North Carolina, it's under a telegram channel. Bonds for the Win, North Carolina, if you wanna look for it.
There's one
And-
for Georgia also.
Is there one for there? Okay, but, I mean, they have gotten, a lot of school boards just had to resign immediately because they didn't follow the rules. So, if you're concerned about it, you need to check it.
But I haven't looked into it for the school boards. I know that for our elected officials, no, I'm not sure, I believe some of the school board was on there. I can't really remember now, my photographic memory is failing me. I don't actually have one of those. But I know that we have a blanket bond for our elected officials here through ACCG. And so, yeah, I know that much. I've been looking into that myself for other reasons, but I'll share that. Hold on, just a moment. Yes, go ahead.
The way you reduce the
You
surety
got it.
bond, if they're not giving you the information they're supposed to give you, that's required by law to give you, you can write up, I call it administrative action, but just fact by fact by fact, that they're supposed to give you, that you've requested it, you haven't got it, and give them like 10 days to get it to you, and say, if you don't get it to me, I'm going to make a claim against your surety bond. That'll get their attention. So, but the website called Bonds for a Win will show you how to do
Tell
that.
you how to do it, all the paperwork and everything you need to do.
It's unfortunate that we're having to take those things into our own hands, because there hasn't been a lot of public education on how to handle the legal system and all of those things. And-
Well, they're all corrupt.
Yeah, so I, from my own personal experience with the bonds is, well, I've submitted a claim, but I've found that, so, I don't wanna talk negative stuff, but our commissioner falsified the meeting minutes for December. They put in dialogue and they took out whole sentences and replaced them with other sentences that made the speaker, what the speaker was saying, seem not as important, or taking out information from what the speaker was saying, inserting and taking out whole statements of what he said in the dialogue to make it sound more palatable, make him look good, and to hide where he was being defamatory towards the citizens. And that might not seem like a big deal, but it's actually a felony. It's 2 to 10 years in prison for that, yeah. And the trouble is that doesn't seem like a big deal, but my thing is I don't have all the information that everybody has. My specialty is behavior, and I know that somebody that is willing to do that, and then I go back and I see videos of verbal abuse of citizens and things, it just I don't have trust, you know? And I took it to the AG and he said it was political, and he doesn't do political matters. So then going towards the bond, but then the bond, the ACCG, from my understanding, is run by the commissioners of Georgia. In fact, Commissioner Paris was president of ACCG, that covers the bond. So we'll see how effective that is.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh,
Yeah, because that's what we're running into, is that he's on the board that covers the insurance for him.
Right, and we're the only county in Georgia where he's the only commissioner too,
Yes,
No, there's
yes.
seven.
No, there's seven, yeah. Towns County, I believe, is one.
Towns is one, there are 3 in the northwest, and there are 2 in the central portion. The attorney that spoke of how blessed we were to have sole commission a couple of meetings ago said there was 8, he was wrong. Walker County voted for a board of elected county commissioners and went to that system in 2021.
Huh.
So there are 2 here, 3 up there, and 2 in the central part. Those are the only 7 counties
Yep.
in the entire United States.
Right, it's
that have a
illegal
sole
elsewhere.
commissioner.
Right.
The devil definitely came to Georgia, didn't he?
Several years ago, during one of the primaries, the Republican Party of Union County had a straw vote put on it to vote for a board of county commissioners. On the Republican side, the Democrats didn't have it on their side of the
Right,
ballot.
that doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know, I'm just telling you what it was. That vote to stay with the sole commissioner system failed by less than 1%. If someone were interested in making a change to a board of county commissioner systems, I don't know how many Republicans are in the room, but they've got an office up there in 515. Go up and find out what they did to get it on the ballot. And instead of Pat Muffin, Lamar Putin, Paris, all the time to actually get it on a ballot for a vote of whether you want to tolerate that. He's been in office for 22 years. This is his county.
It's hard.
Go ahead.
It just, we forgot. that it's our
This
town.
is his county. He makes a decision for everything.
Yes, Leslie. I need
Alexis,
to know a lot of information on this.
Before we leave from East Splash, right now, the East Splash, which is the 1% sales tax, that budget has relatively $21 million in it right now. And I asked the question, if East Splash is voted down, how are they gonna get that money, or how will they have access to it? Nobody can answer that question. But it's important not to get the budget or the collected money for East Splash is not intermingled with the budget from the school board taxes that are collected. There's different tools and avenues that they have to account for the money, and they have to dispose of the money. Now, I will say this, and I'm not speaking for East Splash, and I'm not speaking against East Splash. We had a decrease in our millage rate this year from the school board taxes, and that actually came from East Splash, which allowed them to do that. I'm through with East Splash.
Thank you. Yes.
So Mitch Griggs, during the meeting discussing the sale of the quote excess property that is being sold to facilitate the Albany building, made mention of a 1 cent SPLOST initiative in Union County raises approximately $500,000 a month.
Wow.
So
They make a lot.
just
They make
food
a
for
lot.
thought.
About 250,000
So my-
is 300,000.
What my brain goes to, you know, of course, I'm not anti-funding our students and our children. I'm a teacher. That's what I do. I love students and children. But then there's been a gentleman, and I don't know if he's here, because I don't know what he looks like, but there's a gentleman that's been on the Facebook social media pages going on and on with his information about salaries. And I'm seeing that a lot of our elected officials make 6-figure salaries. That's a lot of money. And I personally feel, and this is just me as a human, my own feelings, is that positions like that should be because of the passion for doing right and doing good for the community, not to get wealthy. And so for me, I'm just speaking for myself, but for me, if you know, a huge chunk of it is to actually better the students, but then another huge chunk is so that the people that are figuring out where the money's gonna go gets to make a lot of money off of it, and it just doesn't feel right. Having that, report that Cindy was talking about would be really helpful. I feel like it's, there's just so much distrust. I don't want us to, hurt ourselves just because we're not trusting people. That's no good. Does anyone else have anything to add?
Well, can I just say along that line? I work with the schools. I'm not an employee of the schools, but I work with the schools. For 10 years before moving up here, I was a substitute in, up to 3rd grade. Majority of citizens could not even last 30 minutes in those classrooms. And the students are getting harder and harder to deal with. And a lot of these teachers are dealing with health issues, severe health issues, and some of them have to get out of it right away. I'm not justifying their salaries, but my dad is a retired teacher. He did private school. And for what they have to deal with, I say that the teachers are really underpaid, honestly, from my personal experience. And I was just at the primary school for the last 4 days doing a book fair for them. And they have to put up with a lot because the parents don't teach the kids properly. And some of these kids feed off of each other, and it makes it even more stressful. So, but as far as the admin, the attitude that all of my teacher friends have told me is that the admin, the principals and stuff, they are so far removed from the classroom that they are out of touch with what's working right now, yet they still try to tell the teachers how to run the classroom today. When they've been out of it for 10 years or something like that, you know.
They're the ones making the 6-figure salary, not the
Right.
teachers.
So that's, you know, that might be an issue where they need to switch and give the teachers more.
That might actually change things for the better.
There we go.
Did you have something to add, Cindy?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, in case anybody didn't see that ad in the paper, or the article, I'm sorry. This is what was said. So without East Law 6, which is the new one coming up, the other option would be to increase property taxes, which Mr. Hill said he does not really want to have to do. Quote, people don't realize 84% of our budget is salary and benefits, he said. We can't fire people, we can't reduce our workforce, there's nothing really to cut. We have to pay the water and the sewer, which is about $15,000 a month. We have to pay the power bill, that's approximately $80,000 a month. So this was kind of what was said about salaries and stuff.
And they're doing free breakfast and lunch for a bunch of these kids. And then the primary school this summer is going to be, what did she say? The teachers have to empty everything, including the library, because they're gonna go in and make some changes. I don't remember what she said it was, but anyway, so, you know, and I don't know why they feel like they need to, but I know I have been in some schools that are like 60 years old and not had any updates.
Yes,
That
so
really need.
so what they're wanting to do, well, what they are gonna do is they're building a new primary school. They have to, because they have outgrown the school.
Yes.
So right now, from my understanding, they have at least 2 classrooms of kids that are in the primary school. There's no place to put them. So it's like they have outgrown the building. And so, that was part of the reason that they're saying they want it, because they're gonna build a new primary school. They have to.
Yes.
That school, I think, is from the 60s.
Right.
Yeah.
That is mandated from the State Board of Education.
Yes.
And, Union County does not have a whole lot of choice except to follow that mandate. And may I comment on what you said about the teachers? I have a list, and this was provided to us in that meeting, of the salaries of the teachers. there is no way, and I hope y'all don't think this is bad of me. There is no way that I would walk in a classroom with some of these heathens that y'all had to deal with every day for what they get paid.
And you know, some of the most underpaid are the special needs kids. And I have been in a special needs class where it's the self-contained class. Some of those kids, even in second grade, could pick up a table and sling it at you.
So then it seems like.
There's something else too that y'all need to recognize. I think y'all realize and hadn't forgotten that, Kemp has awarded $2,000 as a bonus for the school teachers. 55% of those teachers did not participate in that because of the classification that the state had set up for these people, or the teachers, and your special ed teachers are one of those that did not participate in that.
Well, and a lot of the special ed teachers have told me that they don't feel backing, they don't feel supported by the admin either. So that's one of the places where they get the most stomach issues and stuff.
I have did you know about the law that, Gooch put out about our teachers? About the illegal aliens who are coming in, who they can teach next year?
Here?
They know their country, they know how to teach in their country. Do they know how to teach here? in the
What?
United
Oh, right,
States?
I
Can you
did.
clarify?
I did hear about that.
That has to be a
And
state
it's
thing
gonna
though
be-
for licensure, it would have to be state
I just-
licensing. They would have to, it
They're
would
gonna
go through
do
the
it, they're
state
gonna do it.
for
It's already
licensing.
passed. You can look it up, I don't know what the law is
I heard
right
about
now,
it just recently,
but
yeah.
what they did pass it. Steve Gooch passed it.
But it would be at a state level that they would be
It's in the
qualified
whole
to
state of
teach.
Georgia.
Okay, so it is
If
a
we
state,
need a teacher, we can get one of those illegal aliens that have a degree in their country and teach our kids
And that's
whatever they
before,
wanna teach them. However they wanna teach
Did
them.
you
well,
know,
that's
do
at
they
the
have to
state
be on
level,
a
that's
path?
not something that we can
Yeah.
do with the board.
It's
But
good
she's
to know about some of these things that we feel like we can't do anything about. This, I mean, again, my feelings on this, the funding of the schools is it's heartbreaking to hear that the teachers aren't making what they should be making. It is exhausting. It's
Yes.
and you have to use all of your faculties at once, you know, it's not like sitting at a computer, it's not. But giving funding, it looks like it isn't going to the places it needs to be going, so if anybody has any ideas on how we could have a say on that, I would love to hear that. Yes?
We're sitting here arguing about the teacher's pay, and East Block doesn't have anything to do with teacher's pay.
Really?
It does not.
It doesn't,
No.
just infrastructure.
Has nothing in the world to do with
Interesting.
teacher's pay.
Huh,
That's why I said, do not get the East Bluff budget integrated with the school tax budget.
see, I
You
needed more
can't do
information. Okay, now I understand what you mean. Okay, so, we're gonna move on now, does anyone else have anything else they wanna say about that? Okay, so just before I came in, I saw you sent me an image about, yes, so there's something about a land proposal for over 500 acres around the hospital, do you know, am I saying that wrong?
Well, it's not around the hospital, it's out,
076.
River Farm Road.
Bend Road.
It encircles a property that, Lamar Paris bought in 2019, that, the lady, is her last name Hill?
Yeah.
She has the rights to live in there until she passes away, and so.
Wait, hold on, let me pause you for just a second,
Yeah.
okay? I'm gonna make sure I know, I have my information right on that. Isn't that the land that was owned by the Gallagher, by
Yeah,
Gallagher?
Yeah.
It was sold to another gentleman whose name I forgot, and then
Scotty thing.
Scott, okay, and he bought it for what, 350 or 400,000? And then a few months, or a handful of months later, Commissioner Paris bought it for $700,000 with our tax money.
Yes.
So that was a major profit right there. And this was just, okay, I'm not gonna do that. And then, but the county, even though we paid for that land, we can't use it because there's a land, or a life trust. So there's someone living there and we can't use the property, but now, is that the same property that
Well,
we're talking about?
that's the, right in the center of it, when Lamar bought the house, and the 3.5 acres, he said that this 570 acres is some of the prettiest property in the county, and that, he thought one day that it would be used for some type of retirement, facility. He didn't, I don't know if I remember correctly, he didn't say that the hospital would own it, but he kind of implied it, since the hospital owned the 571 acres, I believe. So today it just came up that they being the hospital authority, is now looking for someone to purchase this. So if you're interested in buying it, there's 571 acres, and if you read through it, you'll see that, they have, as any contract would be, they have the right to refuse. If you are in the development business, they want you to disclose what you do and what you might possibly use with the land. But they just came out, to my knowledge, today. I had not seen it before.
So where did you find that announcement? I didn't see it on the,
I found it from my wife.
where did you find that announcement? Because they have a date set where we can go and discuss, or no?
It was on Facebook.
Okay,
Yeah, it's on their website.
It was
If
on
you go to
the
Union
hospital
County,
webpage.
if you go
On
to
the
Union County,
hospital's
you have to
website.
scroll down, it's not the first thing, but it's on there.
Have they listed it with the broker? A realtor?
It looked like, in reading it, it looked like that they were doing it themselves, because they were asking for, a request for proposal rather than putting a for sale sign up. That's the way I read it. And there is an attorney link to it that, I guess you could go on their site. I did not take time to do that, but if you go into the Union County, hospital website, you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a picture of the property, sitting there. And it does disclose that there's 3.5 acres with a home on it that is not included.
but, okay, so if that's the 3.5 acres is there, isn't that property that was bought for 700?
Yes.
Is that around it, and then this 500 is around
Well,
it?
there'd have to be an easement, I'm sure there is an easement, to go from the road to the house through the property.
Okay,
So a couple of things, when the Hill, what is known as the Hill property, when that came up, and got a lot of public, attention, Paris was very clever in how he described the need for us to buy this property. The property sits in the middle of the 500 acres you're talking about. The 500 acres that he's talking about is owned by the hospital. So Paris made it sound like he was very clever about how he worded what he said, but he painted a picture as though this property was somehow by the hospital, and that they would build a retirement center, perhaps one day in the future. So that made it sound like we were gonna build a retirement center somewhere over by the hospital. And it wasn't until, I've done some research into this, so, when I discovered that the property was nowhere near the hospital, and then that the surrounding areas, and it's just a bunch of trees. I mean, there's nothing out there. You can look at it on satellite photos. There's nothing there except for this house in the middle of a whole bunch of forest.
that
And,
sounds nice.
so the hospital apparently owns all of that land. And another thing that I have come across here recently, when it comes to real estate deals in this county, and specifically this new Aldi situation, and Mitch Griggs stood up in front of everyone that was in the courtroom at that meeting, and I asked him about the Bilo property and why Aldi wouldn't move, and, you know, we've got a shopping center that has been empty since I moved here.
Right,
And it is a grocery store,
right.
you know? And what he told me was, in front of everyone, on record, that, that they would not lease that property to Aldi. And so I have been trying, I've spoken to an attorney a couple of times, and I haven't gotten very far at the moment, because this is not his specialty. He is a real estate attorney, but he's more of like a closing attorney, so, but he has contacts with attorneys that can perhaps help on this matter. My question is, what is the legality of that? Like, that place is advertised openly for lease. There are signs in the windows of that building. There's a sign in the a huge sign in the driveway that says it's for lease. I've spoken to the real estate attorney that has it listed. It's been a little over a year since I spoke to him, just curious about what it would lease for. My understanding is that Bio is currently locked in a long-term lease. They are paying that lease monthly. It's like $20,000 a month that they pay to
Still?
not occupy that building.
28, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. But my question is, if it is publicly listed for lease, then how could the property owner decline a potential tenant? If a tenant comes and says, I wanna lease it, how can you say no? You can't lease it. You've got it listed for lease publicly. So,
Thank you for looking into that.
that begs the question, you know, when it comes to residential property, like, you can't discriminate against someone. If they qualify to lease a place, and I know good and well Aldi qualifies because they have a ton of money, so, I don't understand how the property owner could then deny. And Mitch Griggs said that they tried to pitch them that property. I question whether or not that's true. That's what he said. But I think, like this property that Aldi's buying over in front of the farmer's market, I've never seen that property listed for sale anywhere. There was never a sign out there that I know of that said it was for sale. So obviously there's a little network of people that all know each other. And I think that they knew that that 12 acres was sitting there and someone had purchased it as an investment. And hey, Aldi wants to move to town. You know what? We happen to know somebody that has a property that's just right for you.
It feels a lot like that.
And it's not listed for sale, so they treat it kind of like a pocket listing, which is an illegal move. So, I mean, I think that it's worth more investigation as to, is the property owner at Bilo allowed to just deny a potential tenant that is a valid, did they even try? Did Aldi actually go to them and try to rent it, or was he blowing smoke?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, thank you for looking into that, because that's not even anything that had been on my radar, and that's what's so great about having a room full of people, because everybody has a different set of intelligence to bring.
And the only reason I think of it is because when he pitched this, which they had already seemingly done, the purchase of the Hill property for an astronomical sum of money, and he stood in front of a bunch of us and said, it's in the middle of the hospital property. And it made it sound like it was like right by the hospital. And so I drove around over by the hospital going, I wonder where this house is, and like looking. And then one day, my wife got online and looked at tax records, and she was like, well, here's the address. And you look at the address and you go, this is in the middle of nowhere.
Right,
Like,
for a great sum of money with
twice what it was
taxpayer money.
worth a year prior.
Right. Okay, so let me just put an announcement out real quick, that I have gone over time, but I think it was important, we really needed to work out East Lost. So we're going to wrap it up here in a moment, so if you have something that you wanna say or add, be ready to do that. Yes, Diana.
Okay,
I know you've
on
been-
1159 Riverbend, a couple things just so that everybody realizes what happened. When the hospital actually asked for an appraisal on 1159 Riverbend, because when Lamar bought that, he actually used the hospital appraisal, when he made the purchase. Also, there was a mortgage on the property for $369,000. We paid that mortgage off, which for a life estate, you're not supposed to. When you have a life estate, it's not supposed to go into the name of the purchaser. It stays in the name of the life estate, and then when the person dies, you get the death certificate and then you turn it in. Well, what Lamar did is he immediately put it into Union County. And when he put it into Union County, that made the property tax exempt, and the Hills did not have to pay any property tax on that. I actually filed a complaint and got that reversed, so now it's not considered exempt. I talked to Mercer, the lawyer, and explained to him how I felt the property needed to be handled. It took him about 30 days, and he did get back to me, and the property now is not exempt, so we'll see who pays the taxes on it. It's about $6,000 a year. But anyway, it's one of those things that everything is kind of underhanded, and you have to watch every transaction. They did use, like I say, the appraisal that the hospital did on that property, and it was just barely in time to use that appraisal. It really should have been expired, but they were like, oh, we can use that appraisal. But paying off that mortgage should not have happened, because the Hills who live on the property right now should have continued to pay the mortgage on the property, should have continued to pay the property tax on that property, but Lamar kind of did the backhand.
Wasn't there something about insurance also?
Yes, and I asked, and I've not gotten an answer back on that. I want to be assured that the Hills are paying property insurance on that property, because literally, if it's in the name of Union County, if something happens and say the house burns down or whatever, Union County is responsible for all that. Say somebody gets on that property and gets hurt or killed, Union County's insurance would be responsible for that. So I'm still following up on that. The Hills should be responsible for handling the property insurance on that parcel of property. So it was a very, very underhanded deal, and we're fixing a little of it, but it's just a long haul. You know, I get one answer and then oh, well, it can be done 2 different ways. No, it really can't be done 2 different ways. There is either one way to do it or not.
All right.
So I'm still working on that parcel, but God, please, somebody buy the 500 acres so Lamar doesn't buy it for us.
Really? I think we need to own it. We're gonna do Wesley and then Teresa.
One thing that she mentioned, any property that the Union County General Hospital Incorporated purchases automatically is tax exempt. The property holdings that they have actually has taken millions of dollars of tax funds out of our tax digest.
Ooh.
One thing too, this gentleman over here mentioned a board of commissioners. You know, there's a lot of talk about people moving forward to have a board of commissioners. That's something I think is very important for this county. And the reason being is not to destroy Lamar or beat him up or what have you. I think it's more important that the citizens have a voice in their government. They're the ones that are picking up the
I agree fully. I feel like also it's a trust thing. Like I said, I personally at this point don't have trust, and so that means I'm not gonna trust. Gooch sent me a message the other day, and I was so grateful he did, because I always wanna hear information that contradicts something that I'm holding. I don't wanna be ignorant and make choices from that. But even then, like, I don't have any trust for anybody in our government now here, in the county, and so that's really sad. And so from my perspective, they could be doing everything incredibly well, and I just still wouldn't buy it, because that's just where I'm at now, and that's not fair to them. But to have a board that we are more in control of electing and paying attention to, I feel would be really helpful. Hold on just a moment, Teresa.
I have one quick question about Lamar's buying the house. Did he pay off the mortgage, or you saying that he paid over
Yeah,
$1
he
million?
paid off- No, the mortgage was like $369,000.
I thought he paid 700 and something.
He did, and then we paid off the mortgage.
Both?
With the funds of that, so it was 750. It had the mortgage on it when, whoever bought it for the $400,000. When we paid the 750, then he took, that was part of the deal of the 750 and then pay off the mortgage.
So it was above and beyond the 750?
No, it was,
$750.
wrapped
That
in
went
it.
towards it.
It was wrapped in the 750.
I saw two,
How many acres?
go ahead.
It was
Oh.
3.24 or something.
3.21.
You have something to add on that?
Yeah, it's 3.3.
I know. I feel like all of a sudden I went from very relaxed to, oh my goodness, it's been an hour and 5 minutes and I promised y'all 45. So if you feel like I'm cutting you short on your speaking, I do apologize. I saw 3 hands over here, but I saw yours first.
Okay, regarding the board of county commissioners, and it seemed like
Speak up.
from the applause that, people would tend to be in favor of that. You mentioned that they would listen to the citizens. At least one thing, if you had an elected board of county commissioners, whether it's 3, 5, 7, or whatever, there would be open public discussion of these particular items, not just, I wanna buy the Hill property, I wanna sell that to all,
Right.
or I want to do this. That would be part of a public meeting, which would need to be legally advertised, and that the citizens could come and hear and see and could be heard and speak. The way with the sole commissioner, the state law says that, any meeting between 2 elected officials has to be advertised and the public is invited. And it is a formal meeting. We only have 1 elected official. Nothing that goes on in the courthouse is subject to Georgia law for public participation. Nothing. It is done as a staff level. The decisions of where the money is spent, the budget, the spot, or whatever else. Only 1 elected official. I don't have to advertise this.
Right. So I forgot to put this on the list of topics, but I put in the paper about Coosa Water, and I happened to run into the fellas, on the board for Coosa Water. So one meeting that I went to that was very awkward for me, because I thought it was gonna be a big meeting, and it was just the guys and then me. But what I learned there is that I have Coosa Water, and it's mountain spring water, and they have to add chlorine and fluoride. I'm not changing the subject, I know it looks like I am. And that Notley has to also add chlorine and fluoride, and I understand the chlorine, but both of them wanna get the fluoride out, but it's a state thing, and they've been trying to figure out how to get you have to do a petition. So this is what made me think of this, is because in order to do the a board of commissioners, we have to get it on the ballot, and in order to get it on the ballot, from my understanding, and it's a very small understanding, is that we need 20% of the voters to sign a petition within a specific time period.
Nope.
Nope. Okay, tell me, you take over.
I sent Cindy, a directive from the, Lieutenant Colonel or General. Deputy General of the Elections Committee. You get your signatures together, then you present your petition to the probate judge. He has 45 days to respond, and a total of 60 days to call for a special election, period.
Wouldn't it be interesting if we gathered up a few topics that we are all interested in, and then had those petitions all at the same time? So, I mean, people can sign one and not the others, but that would be a really neat way for the people to be in control of getting some things on the ballot. But I'm just an idea person, but I don't really know what I'm talking about, so go ahead, educate me.
You know, for this to be effective, you guys, if you're all planning on pursuing this, is find a committee and make sure that you put together something that the general public in our communities understand, and make them realize that they do have an option and have a voice in our government.
Yes, that's the whole point.
And it needs to be clear too. It don't need to be, well, maybe this or maybe that. that's something that, needs to be put together.
Clear and concise. Okay. Okay, so I saw some other hands. Did we cover things? Yes, Cindy?
I just wanted to say again before we leave, if anybody knows people in those districts, and I went over to the courthouse and saw the district map, but if you know anybody that wants to run for school board, encourage them to.
Can I say something?
I've started a little bit back here, I
Go on, Frank.
started a Facebook group that's called Union County Government Watchdogs, and a lot of information is being shared on that page, so.
Yeah.
I do my best to vet, potential members. There's a member, that works for the tax commission here in the county, who's asked for membership, and I've just let it sit there for weeks and weeks now, cause I can't see how she would be an effective county watchdog as an employee, but.
Right, that makes sense.
But I do my best to look at people's profiles and, you know, see that they're not gonna be causing trouble there and that they're there for the right reasons. And membership is, I tend to get a couple of requests, 2 or 3 or 4 a day in some cases. So,
Tell us the name of it again.
it's called Union County Government Watchdogs.
Okay, so it's on Facebook, it's a Facebook group. I'm
And
on
there's
there
a
too.
lot of information being passed around.
There's a lot of information. Also, and then Frank, I'm not forgetting about you, I wanna hear it. Also, thanks for reminding me to say that, I am filming the meetings. Anytime I go to meetings, I film them at the commissioner meetings. I film those and I film the questions and answers at the end, because that's where a lot of the information comes from, the questions that are asked by the citizens. And those you can find on the YouTube channel, Voices of Union County, Georgia. So it's a GA, Voices of Union County, Georgia on YouTube. So this is going to be uploaded to that for the people that weren't able to come, so you can let your friends know about that too. And Frank, what would you like to say?
Since you brought that up, let me say something on that. I know your battery is gone dead a time or 2.
Oh, yes. I'm doing all of this on my own.
What we need to do is always have someone backing you up with their cell phone.
Right. We've worked that out now. I've missed some times that I've more than kicked myself for. Seriously, the time that yes, I've missed some things, but I started off just doing this for myself. I didn't know that I was gonna be, standing at a podium having a town hall meeting. I'm supposed to be focusing on building my piano classes, but this is what I do with all of my time instead, from morning to night, because it's really important seeing the state of the world and then realizing, I've focused on national and global politics for years and years and years and years. I mean, since before 2015. And then my family settled here. Oh, I wanna make a public correction. It might not seem important, but integrity is everything to me. I said that my great-grandfather was sole commissioner, and I just went back through the history, and even though it doesn't matter what my family says, he was the tax commissioner. I wanna correct that, okay? Because that's been really bothering me. Like, I did a lot of research to figure out that I was wrong about that. But I was raised in Houston, and then I moved when things got crazy to a farmer town, still in Texas, close enough to be near my mom. And that place had gone crazy, and I'd always told myself, when the world goes crazy, I'm coming back home to Blairsville, and I got here and I see what's going on, and I can tell you guys there's nowhere else to go. Like, there's nowhere else to go. So you can focus on national and global, but what really can happen is pay attention to at home, all come together and create something beautiful together. It doesn't matter politics, it doesn't matter. This is our home, that's what really matters. And we actually can do something and create it and shape it the way we want. And we're so lucky to be in Union County, because it really is, so much has changed from corporate interest. That's what I see when people are talking about things changing so much. To me, what I see is the outside corporations are what's actually changing Union County. But I've been knowing this place since I was a baby, and we really do have a neat little pocket that we can still protect, So we can do that. We just have to do it and tell people, like, hey, we're doing this. Maybe we get some petitions together, make them very short and concise, go door to door, maybe have some event or something, and get everybody understanding that we actually can create this world in a beautiful way, in a way that is guided by this, rather than by money, you know? That's why.
When is the sole commissioner going to be up for re-election, and can we get a ball rolling somehow to start the commission where we have 5 or 7 people instead of 1?
Right, so that's what we're talking about with getting a petition going, so it looks like we need to get into that. And so, we're gonna go ahead and close the meeting here in a moment. I wanted to leave 15 minutes or so for people to chat on their way out the door, but, the idea of the committee, that's something that I'm seeing happening naturally when I go to these commissioner meetings. My friends now, we keep being referred to as some group, like we're some outside nefarious group. We're just people, and like attracts like, and so we become friends because we have the same cares, the same things we care about. But what's interesting is that people are matching up based on what they care about, and so committees are kind of actually forming all on their own. So if you care about something and you can't do it all by yourself, figure out who also cares about that, and then we will, we'll support each other. That's what we really need to do. Yeah, okay, that's what I think about that. Okay, so, now I'm gonna say, does anyone have, just because it's for the people, does anyone have a business that they run, like a small business that they'd like to announce before we leave? Just give a little bit of attention.
You talking about starting up or been here?
I don't know, I don't care, let us know what you do.
Alright, well, we raise beefalo cattle, and, we sell, the meat at the farmer's market when it's open. We have a store at the farm, we sell the halves and wholes, and we sell by the pound, all USDA, and, so it's, we've been doing this up here, about 12 years, I guess.
What's the name of your farm?
It's, Deerfoot Farms.
Deerfoot Farms, okay, good to know about that.
And you can go on the internet and look up the beefalo breed. It's a USDA breed like Angus or anything else. And you go ahead and look it up and you can see all the nutritional benefits over a regular straight cow.
Huh.
You know, the bison is 3/8 genes from a bison, 5/8 from any beef cow. I don't have any bison, don't want any.
Right.
I just want 3/8 of their genes.
Right. That's funny.
So you've all seen the Yellowstone stuff, you know.
So did you say Deerfoot Farm?
Deerfoot Farm.
Deerfoot.
It's off of Public Gap, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're neighbors.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Sir, do you have a business card?
Yeah.
I'd love to have one.
Yes,
And,
you wanna know these things.
But our hamburger, we add no fat to our hamburger. Does everybody understand what 90-10 hamburger is?
Yeah.
It's
Lean
90%
and fat.
of meat with no control over how much fat's on the meat, and then they take 10 pounds of fat they cut off the steaks and add it to your hamburger. That's 10% added. Has nothing to do with the amount of fat in your hamburger that you walk out the store with. Ours is 0 fat added, and the bison muscle is very lean, but
What?
it's, it's still dry, it's still juicy, as long as you don't overcook it.
That sounds wonderful. I'm gonna be going by there, especially now that I know we're neighbors. Wesley seemed excited about that.
Yeah, you'll be pleasantly, as a cattle, you'll be pleasantly surprised by trying this product.
Okay.
Very much. There's 2 events that I'm trying to get together. One is in April the 2nd from 10 till 1 o'clock at the Civic Center. We have GMAS, which is going to be here, and he and one of his proteges, and they're going to be talking about the effects that multifamily housing is going to have on Union County. And then in addition to that, in May, we're gonna have Mr. Hassel, the commission that has actually done the development program for Union County. He will be here to tell us how he has put together this program. And it'll give us some interesting narratives on how they think and how Union County should look like.
Okay, that's fantastic. So if people signed up and left their email address, then you can send out information about these things. They'll be.
Yeah, if you all give me their email addresses, I would love to do that.
Okay, if anybody is opposed to me sharing your email address with Wesley, let me know, okay? Because I can tell you, he has a lot of information. A lot more than me. I'm an idealist and I'll just get up at a podium and make things happen, but he's got a lot of information. Yes, do you?
Businesses?
Oh, hold on just a moment.
Okay.
I think you have a question about
The date in May, it was April 7th at the Civic
We
Center.
haven't confirmed it
You haven't
today.
confirmed it,
It'd
okay,
be within the first 2 weeks of May.
first two.
April 2nd.
April 2nd.
Oh,
April.
second.
The
They
second.
sent the one.
Hold on just a moment. Oh, yes.
Thanks for putting this together.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
We
Oh,
appreciate it.
that's right, actually, okay, so I did have to rent the room and there is a basket we're gonna pass around if you feel like it. I mean, we're not gonna at all hold it against you because you didn't know. But, if anyone wants to contribute to the room rental, there is a basket that's gonna be passed around and it would be appreciated. And in the future, we'll see what happens, so I'm up at the podium, but I'm not like the boss of the town hall, okay? I just knew it needed to happen, and I knew I was wild enough to say it's happening, and then everybody came. But this belongs to everybody. And then, you said you have a business?
Yes.
What is it?
I have the bookmobile
Oh,
in the
cool.
area.
What is that?
It's mainly educational children's books. You will see me set up around the area, not at the farmer's market, they will not let me in there, but I'm at a lot of the events. And like I say, the last 4 days, I was at the primary school doing a book fair. We sold at least $7,000 or $8,000 worth. And the school gets 50% of that for books for the library and some of their other library needs, and teachers get some of that as well. So, and then I'm also a health coach. And you can ask Leroy and Barbara about my health coaching.
Wonderful, that's really interesting. See all the neat things we can do. That's one thing that I love about Union County, or the way that it was before it became so corporate, is small businesses like made the whole thing go round. And if you have a passion, something that you're really good at, and you give it to the community benefits from that. And they support you because we need variety. I teach piano. I have lessons with Alexis. If you have little kids, I am a great piano teacher. You can find that on Facebook. Yeah. I would prefer to be doing that than going to county meetings, by the way. That's where my happy place is. But
Except you spend more time preparing for the meetings than
you don't even know. It's like 24/7 for me. I mean, since I first started caring about what was going on, I can't turn it off, and it's not like I'm self-propelled here, you know. Yeah. I will be, I'm thinking about, no, I'm not thinking about, I will be creating a news show on that Voices of Union County, Georgia YouTube channel. I'm gonna be creating a news show where I'm gonna be interviewing people. So, definitely go check that out and leave me comments or contact me through there if you have any ideas, or if you know something that you want to be talked about, or you know somebody that should be interviewed, because I just know what I'm really good at socializing with people that know stuff. That's really that's what I do. Okay, I think that's it. If there's anybody that has something to say that you want to know more about, you know, find them now.
Are you gonna have another town hall?
Oh,
meeting?
yes, thanks, see, I don't know, we're doing that together. First Thursday of every month, 6 p.m., okay, and it'll be here until it's too big, but we'll be here next month, first Thursday, okay? And it's gonna be the first Thursday, 6 p.m. of every month, because that gives us 2 weeks after the last city and county meeting, and 2 weeks before the next, so we have time to gather our thoughts about what's happened, and then what we want to have happen, okay? Thanks for coming, everybody.